大家好，这里是听广播学英语频道。今天我们来聊聊巧克力的话题，摇撼巧克力世界的可可短缺。这个对话讨论了全球可可豆短缺对巧克力制造商、农民的影响，以及潜在的解决方案。好了，我们来听听到底是怎么回事吧。
I'm joined in the studio today by chocolate-covered pretzels. They're my favorite chocolate snack, and I've brought them with me today because right now, the world is in the grips of a cocoa crisis. The global supply of cocoa has plummeted, and prices are at an all-time high.
I mean, we're going to get in trouble. We see it coming.
Jacques Torres is a chocolatier based in New York. You might recognize him as a judge on the cheeky baking competition show Nailed It, where they nod to his bubbly and very French approach.
He is the judge that knows the fudge, Monsieur Jacques Torres.
He's the owner of Jacques Torres Chocolate, one of the pioneers of artisanal bean-to-bar chocolate. The company is still known best for one of the very first treats Torres served, hot chocolate. He got the flash of inspiration for the signature product when he tried a cup of American-style hot chocolate. It was nothing like what he grew up with in France.
I'm from the south of France, and when you want a hot chocolate there, they make hot chocolate starting from chocolate bar. They make the real thing.
Torres thought, I will introduce America to real hot chocolate, made with actual chocolate. No cocoa powder. People will love it.
Nobody wanted it. Adult was telling me. So I start to give it away every weekend. I don't know how many containers of hot chocolates, and I give it away until people start to say, you know what, it's actually good.
The hot chocolate caught on, and 25 years after the company's creation, Torres is still selling that super thick hot chocolate, along with everything from bonbons to chocolate bunnies to bars.
About 100 tons for this year, my guess. I don't know.
How many bars is that?
It's over 10,000.
That's a lot of chocolate.
Chocolate that's getting more expensive to make by the day. And in order to survive, Torres is faced with some tough choices. Like, should he raise his prices?
But it's a risk because people might not buy it. I don't know what solution we have.
Torres is in this situation because of events unfolding thousands of miles away, in the cocoa farms of West Africa, where dying crops and shrinking harvests have turned cocoa into an increasingly hot commodity. Bloomberg correspondent Mumbi Gateau has been following the story.
I was speaking to a chocolate maker a while back, and he said maybe instead of buying gold, people should be buying cocoa.
Today on the show, we've got a chocolate problem. Extreme weather and a deadly fungus have killed millions of cocoa plants, and now everyone from farmers to chocolate makers are scrambling to survive. In many ways, the very future of chocolate is at stake.
We have to pay the farmer, we have to give them support. Otherwise, the next generation of chefs will not have chocolates.
We track the cocoa crisis from the farms of Ghana to the chocolate factories of New York, on a journey from bean to bar to pretzel. This is The Big Take from Bloomberg News. I'm Sarah Holder. My bag of chocolate-covered pretzels cost $4.90, but pretty soon it could cost even more. Right now, cocoa is trading at an all-time high, more than $10,000 a ton. That's about $5 a pound. This time last year, it cost just over $1 a pound. This is all happening because of what's going on in West Africa, where most of the cocoa in the world is grown.
Precisely, we get 75% of our cocoa supply from just West Africa.
Mumbi Gateau has been covering the cocoa story for Bloomberg.
And the top producers in that region are Ivory Coast and Ghana, and their production has fallen quite a lot in the current season.
Just how low is that supply?
For what we have on record from Ivory Coast, production is expected to fall by 25%. 25% is a huge number.
And as supply has fallen, prices have soared. Cocoa prices have more than doubled in just the last few months.
Like a rocket launch. Like it's just been a vertical rise in the prices.
Cocoa is a hard plant to cultivate. It's fussy and only grows in a handful of places in the world. The plants take years to produce cocoa pods, and when they do reach maturity, they're prone to disease. But over the last few years, growing cocoa has gotten even harder as extreme weather events have hammered West Africa. You mentioned that disease that's been killing off a lot of cocoa plants, swollen shoot. Can you say more about what that disease does and why it's so destructive?
If you've seen a cocoa tree, it produces pods that are the size of a rugby ball, and it's shaped in an oval shape. So when a tree is infected, those pods start to fall, the tree starts to turn black and gray, and it doesn't produce anymore. And the problem with swollen shoot is that once one tree is infected, it starts to infect the rest of the trees in that plantation. So it starts to spread in just not one farmer's plantation, but the next farmer could have the same issue, and the next farmer will have the same issue. And the only way to eradicate it is by uprooting trees.
Uprooting trees. That also means planting new ones which could take up to 5 years to start bearing pods. In the meantime, the harvest out of countries like the Ivory Coast and Ghana have gotten smaller and smaller.
Ghana harvest started dropping, and we are headed for a 20-year low.
Eko Dunto covers cocoa for Bloomberg out of Accra, Ghana. He says the cocoa farmers he's spoken with are really struggling.
They say, Charlie, I've lost hope. Look at the trees. I've invested everything. I spent my money getting laborers and put the whole thing in place. But here you are, the rains will not fall. Then you watch everything wither away, and you are helpless.
You might think the soaring price of cocoa would be benefiting farmers. Even if they're producing less, their cocoa is worth a lot more. But that isn't happening. In Ghana and the Ivory Coast, the government dictates the price of cocoa. Farmers get a fixed amount for their beans. So even as cocoa prices soar, the farmers aren't the ones making that extra money.
Farmers have been earning the same amount they've been earning for such a long time. And you can imagine the cost of living crisis that we've seen, the inflation that we've seen in the last couple of years. Yet farmers have been earning the same. That means they've not been able to invest back into the farms. They've not been able to afford fertilizers, chemicals, everything that is needed to make sure that a tree continues producing as much as it can produce. So some have resulted in abandoning their farms. Some have gone into other crops that they think are more profitable.
Others have sold off their land to speculators who are hunting for gold deposits beneath the cocoa trees. Ghana reporter Eko Donto spoke with Francis Giabang about his situation. Giabang is a farmer. He's 64, has 8 children. He owns a cocoa farm in southwestern Ghana. He spoke with Eko by phone. He's telling Eko that the crop disease was intense and this year's drought was long with the scorching sun. He says he's seeing no benefit from high cocoa prices, and his cocoa pods are withered and dead. Eko has spoken with many farmers and says when it comes to cocoa, things might get worse before they get better.
Future of cocoa is bleak in this country. I expect that in the next 5 years, we'll be operating at just about maybe 500,000 tons for some time until all those disease farms are rehabilitated.
We've been talking about the global cocoa crisis and its origin in the cocoa farms of Western Africa. Now, these issues are flowing up the cocoa supply chain to places like this.
So you come with me, you go through the door. You guys can go to the shoe cleaner.
Okay.
I'll show you that.
Okay. Oh, it smells amazing.
This is Jacques Torres's chocolate factory in Brooklyn, New York. It is vast. Torres zips around on a scooter from the bonbon decorating room to the chocolate sculpting room to the chocolate cookie room. And connecting them all, a network of white pipes running along the ceiling.
We have a 40,000 square feet chocolate manufacturer that I'm going to show you around.
And what are we hearing right now?
So there is a lot of different pumps going on and pushing the chocolates. The problem with the chocolates in those pipes, and you see the pipes on the ceiling, and all those pipes have chocolate running through them.
Pipes full of chocolate? I know what you're thinking.
Where's the chocolate river?
Where is the chocolate river?
That would be the chocolate river from the classic film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. But working in chocolate isn't as sweet as it used to be. Cocoa prices are on Torres's mind all the time.
I'm tired of it. I don't want the business side anymore. I want to do what I love to do, to make chocolate, to eat chocolate, to drink hot chocolate. I'm not about the money. I'm more of a craftsman.
But with cocoa costs more than double what they were just a few months ago, there's no ignoring the money part.
How often are you checking this price?
Every day.
First thing when you wake up?
Yes, I have an alert on my computer and I check prices.
Torres doesn't even get most of his cocoa from West Africa, but the cocoa shortage there has created global supply chain issues and spiked the price of cocoa everywhere. That means cocoa prices are seeping into Torres's world of pure imagination in a big way. He might have to pay 4 times what he paid for cocoa last year, but he can't quadruple the price of his chocolates. Customers are sensitive, even to small price hikes.
Instant. We lose customer right away. And it's interesting. Sometimes I'm thinking, you know what? We're going to put another 25 cents there. You know, nobody's going to see the difference. People know the price of things. So it's dangerous to go a little bit too high in price or too fast because then you lose customer.
All of this makes the Wonka business pretty tough. Producers like Torres tend to have a reserve of cocoa, so higher prices don't affect them immediately. But Torres says by the end of the year, the math is going to get really hard. About a quarter of the cost of Torres's chocolate bars come from cocoa. And if he can't pass those rising costs on to the consumers, he has to start taking a look at the product itself.
Would you ever change your chocolate recipe?
No. The only way to change the recipe is to put less quality cacao beans or put more sugar. So more sugar I will not. I can't. I mean, it's not who we are. It's not how we develop the company. It's not how do we develop our name. So no, I will not change that. That's too important. Cannot touch that.
Some of the big chocolate makers are already changing their recipes, putting a little less chocolate in their chocolate, or making their products smaller, shrinkflation. But that won't work for a smaller scale producer like Torres. He says his customers would notice, but also the molds themselves are expensive, and buying all new ones would be a major cost for him. That leaves one last option, filling the chocolates with more extra stuff.
If you do a chocolate bar with almonds, then 1/3 of the chocolate is going to be removed to put the almonds. So one of the solutions that we are looking at is, okay, what is less expensive than cacao at $10,000 ton? So if almonds become less expensive than cacao, we're going to put a little bit more almonds, a little bit less chocolates. So people or customer will get the same chocolate bar, the same weight, no shrinkage. So that's maybe a solution for us.
Torres and his team are experimenting with adding more nuts and fruits to their chocolate bars. They're also thinking up new products. Price spikes and shortages are nothing new for chocolatiers. Torres says during World War II, Italian chocolate makers couldn't get their hands on much cocoa, so they started to adapt.
So what the Italian did, they come up with this recipe. This is Gianduja.
Cocoa might have been hard to come by for the Italians, but there were lots and lots of hazelnut trees. The hazelnut chocolates became hugely popular, as did another product created out of that moment, Nutella. And he's hoping to bring some of that old school innovation to this moment to help him adapt to soaring cocoa prices. Right now, nothing is off the table, not even his beloved hot chocolate, the product that started it all. He brews me a cup. It's made of crushed up chocolate. It's been his signature product for 25 years. We use real chocolate, it says on the tin, never cocoa powder. But that famous cocoa might have to change. Already, a 14-ounce container costs about $25. Charging more could be tricky. So instead, Torres might have to rethink the mix.
If I have to, I will replace 20% of the powder, maybe with a mixture of cacao and sugar, to not lose the flavor, but helping us with the price. I don't know what I'm going to do. Or do I just tell customers it's just more expensive? But it's a risk because people might not buy it. You know, I mean, I don't know what solution we have.
Does it make you sad that you might have to change the ratios?
No, look, again, in life you do what you have to do. So I don't going to put something on the market that's not good. If I don't like it, I don't make it. I am very stubborn about it.
In the meantime, Torres is doing everything he can to try and avoid making some of the more painful changes. He's been making deals with cocoa farmers to try and lock down future supply.
We're also waiting. I don't want to change everything because it may be on the way down.
Torres is still holding out